Good Monday morning, and thanks for logging on to TDSweather.com. I'm meteorologist Joseph Cooper, and thanks for tuning in to the first Weather Watcher video, and I guess kind of backed by popular demand. So every first of the week, every Monday of the week, we are going to be talking about kind of the upcoming forecast, mainly over the next 7 days, but from time to time we may go a little bit longer than that, depending on what exactly is going on. Obviously this week we've got quite a bit to cover, and we'll be talking more about that as opposed to longer range. We'll probably, we'll kind of go back and forth probably in the next 2 to 3 weeks and see kind of what fits and what works out best and what feels right. But overall today, starting out with what's currently going on, we're really pretty quiet this morning across much of the region here. You can see we've got temperatures that are in the upper 20s to the lower 40s in most locations. Our coldest temperatures up across Michigan and into Wisconsin this morning, and a little bit of precipitation up as you get into the UP. But really, other than that, we'll take down the METARs. You can see we're pretty quiet across the area. So getting into the daytime hours today, we're really going to be pretty quiet across much of the area today. Now, as you work into this afternoon, this is by the time you work in past noon. And keep in mind, all times are going to be Eastern. We're not going to switch back and forth from Central to Eastern time for the sake of confusion. So times will be in Eastern. So as we head into 2 and 3 o'clock this afternoon, you can see we've got some precipitation up to the north here, up towards the Minnesota area, and out towards Sault Ste. Marie, out towards kind of the St. Ignace area into the eastern portions of the UP, very northern portions of Michigan up into kind of the Northwoods. We head into the evening hours. You can see snow showers up there across portions of the UP maybe making it out to more Marquette, but more out towards like Iron Mountain and back to the west there. We continue through the overnight hours tonight. We're dry across much of the forecast area overnight tonight, so Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, much of Michigan, much of Wisconsin. You guys pretty quiet tonight on into tomorrow morning. And then as we start to work into the morning hours by 8, 9, 10 o'clock, working into 11 o'clock, notice there's some rainfall moving down St. Louis out towards I-70, back down towards Evansville, and kind of the Evansville-Jasper area down into southwestern portions of Indiana. But we've got a bigger storm system really winding up out to the west. And as we continue into tomorrow afternoon, as we get into about 3 to 4 o'clock, rainfall spreading out across Indiana. So tomorrow afternoon, we'll see rain showers spreading across Indiana, spreading across Illinois, periods of moderate to maybe even some heavy rainfall possible there. This is as we head into 3 and 4 o'clock. And you can see by 5 and 6 o'clock, we've got rainfall working up towards Madison, Milwaukee, Grand Rapids, Detroit. We've got rainfall still continuing across, at least in scattered nature, across much of Illinois into Indiana, out into Iowa. And you can see we're dry across more northerly portions of the region. But notice the snowfall out to the west. So Sioux Falls back down towards Omaha, Grand Island, Nebraska. They're getting hit pretty hard at this point in time. And this low is going to start to wind up. And notice as we start to head on into tomorrow evening, this is by the time we work into 10 and 11 o'clock, what we have here is we have this big area of low pressure sitting out here, and we've got a warm front that's kind of situated back out across this area, and then we've got a cold front that's coming down through here. Notice the thunderstorms going out into the warm sector of this system as we get into tomorrow afternoon, and especially mainly tomorrow evening. And I don't think it's totally out of the realm of possibility that places across, especially like southern and central Illinois out to Missouri, see a round of some strong to severe thunderstorms along and ahead of this cold front late tomorrow evening into tomorrow night. And it's not totally out of the question some places across southern Indiana could see a couple strong thunderstorms out of this either. There's going to be enough instability, which I'll show you here in just a second, with this as that moves on through, then it will create some thunderstorms, and the upper level winds are going to be absolutely crazy with this. We continue into tomorrow night, getting towards midnight, 1 a.m., getting into Wednesday. Notice the thunderstorms still working out across Indiana. There's your cold front working across Illinois tomorrow night into early on Wednesday. Your lows sitting here. You can see this curlicue right here. And there's your curlicue and your low sitting out here as those winds come around in a counterclockwise way around that low. We continue on into Wednesday morning by 6, 7 a.m. The front's moving across Indiana as we head late tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. It's pushing into eastern Indiana, western Ohio by dawn on Wednesday. Notice some snowfall out here across portions of western Illinois by Wednesday morning. So as we get into the morning hours on Wednesday, I don't think it's going to be as widespread as this model suggests, but there will be some snow showers there. Notice tomorrow night, though, I'm going to rewind this, tomorrow night on into Wednesday morning, that snowfall really cranking up across the UP, into northern portions of Wisconsin, up into Duluth, so LaSalle, out towards Iron Mountain, Duluth, back into kind of up towards Ontonagon, Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie. You know, those places are getting hammered with snow tomorrow night as we head on into Wednesday. And then as we continue through the day on Wednesday, you can see that changing over across southern Wisconsin into Illinois, Indiana, changing over to some snowfall. Still some rain showers out here across Michigan down into Ohio. And then this pushes on through, and as we work into Wednesday afternoon, you can see some of that changing over to from rain to snow across northern Ohio into Michigan. And then finally it pushes on out of here as we get into late Wednesday going into Thanksgiving. But then look out to the west. There's another storm coming in as we head towards late week that will bring rain and snow to the forecast area as well. So a couple things I want to touch on here. First off, this is tomorrow night. This is by midnight tomorrow night going on into Wednesday. This is CAPE, Convective Available Potential Energy. Basically, it's measuring buoyancy in the atmosphere for clouds to rise and potentially become thunderstorms. And so it's a measure of instability. And by midnight tomorrow night, working into 1, 2, 3, 4 a.m. on Wednesday, notice we've got some CAPE, we've got some instability out here across Illinois, and as we work into Wednesday morning by 4, 5, 6 a.m., 7 a.m., it's moving into portions of southern Wisconsin and Indiana. So there will be some instability out there tomorrow evening into tomorrow night, and really anything above about 100 value this time of year is pretty good. In some models suggesting we may be close to 1,000 joules per kilogram of CAPE. So that's pretty strong instability for November. And so that's why the concern for severe weather is definitely there. And what I want to show you here, this is as we get into this evening, is the 500 millibar winds with this thing. This is as we get into tonight going into tomorrow morning. Notice the troughiness out here to the west. Look at these 500 millibars winds rounding the base of the trough as we get into tomorrow morning. And then as we get into Tuesday, this trough takes a negative tilt. And what I mean by that is if you look at the low, and then look at the axis of this trough where the kind of the axis points to, which at this point would be to the southeast. If it's pointing to the southeast, it's a negative tilt, which means there's a lot of air diverging out ahead of it. And so there's a lot of lifting, and any kind of system with this is strengthening rapidly at this point. And now if this were pointed more, the axis was to the south, this would be a neutral tilt. And if it was to the southwest, it would be a positive tilt trough. But this negative tilt trough comes in, and look as we get into Tuesday evening into Wednesday, this is by midnight, the winds down here across Missouri are absolutely screaming at 105 to 110 plus knots. And so this comes in here very quickly Wednesday, and that's why I'm suggesting, we've got a lot of upper level wind energy, we've got the instability, we've got kind of low end moisture values, but I think it's going to be enough that we end up with strong to severe thunderstorms, especially across eastern Missouri into Illinois, maybe even portions of Indiana as we get tomorrow night into Wednesday morning. Main concerns would probably be damaging winds and some hail, but I wouldn't totally rule out a couple of tornadoes with this either. So it's something definitely to watch there with the severe weather threat tomorrow night on into Wednesday. And then that 500 millibar trough moves to the east, and then look out here. There's our next system. So taking a look here, as far as rainfall is concerned, a large area going to see half an inch to about an inch of rainfall. There will be localized areas, especially I would tend to say more out into here, that will probably see, maybe an inch and a half, 2 inches plus of rainfall under some of those heavier thunderstorms. So don't be surprised if you see locally more than this. And then as we take a look at the snowfall, you can see places are going to get absolutely pounded over the next few days, especially as you get up into portions of eastern Michigan, up into northern portions of eastern Minnesota, into portions of Wisconsin and the UP. I mean, there's going to be a widespread area up here of probably between 6 and 9 inches, and then maybe a foot or more up here as you get into the UP of Michigan. So Marquette, Sault Ste. Marie, back out towards Iron Mountain, you guys are all going to get some very, very heavy snowfall out of this. And there's probably going to be some places out here to the west. These winds are going to really crank up out across the kind of the Iowa, Minnesota, Nebraska, South Dakota area. There'll be some places out there that probably end up seeing some blizzard warnings with this system. All right, so quickly, let's take a look at temperatures, and I won't spend too much more time. We're getting close to 10 minutes here. But we will take a look at temperatures today. You can see overall, if you need something done or you want to hang the Christmas lights, today is going to be the day to do it. Most of us will be into the 50s. Notice out towards St. Louis and back out towards Quincy, Illinois, into Missouri, they're going to be into the 60s. So it's going to be really, really warm out there today. And then we head into the overnight hours tonight and getting into tomorrow morning. You can see there's the frontal boundary, very strong frontal boundary. South of it, we're in the 40s. North of it, we're in the 30s. And then we head into the daytime hours tomorrow. That boundary is still coming through. But notice what happens tomorrow night as we get into Wednesday. Here's that low coming up through the area. Here's the low kind of sitting more out through here. And then your cold fronts here and your warm fronts up through here. And you can see that warm air is advecting in. It's moving in along and ahead of this area of low pressure system, a very impressive mid-latitude cyclone. And then as we start to work on into Wednesday, there's the cold front swinging through. This is pretty crazy. By 7 a.m. on Wednesday, the NAM3 has 54 in Indianapolis. And then by noon, it's got 36. And so we're falling nearly 20 degrees behind the cold front as it passes into the next couple of days. And then we'll take a quick look here as we get later on into the week. This is the GFS. This is on Thanksgiving. Notice we've got this frontal boundary moving in, some rainfall moving into southern portions of the region on Thanksgiving. High pressure looks to dominate through much of the day, especially across places like Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota. And then we continue on into Thursday night going into Friday, and then the next big pressure system gets going here. Snowfall potential lies across northern portions of the region by Friday into Saturday. Rainfall to the south, and then as we continue into Saturday, going on into Sunday, there's your low coming on through, maybe starting to change some places over across Illinois, Indiana, Ohio by Sunday over to a little bit of snowfall there. And as we continue beyond that, you can see high pressure moves in early next week, and then we move another system on in here by mid next week, and then that moves out, and then another system. We're in a pretty active pattern as we head into the next several days and on into December. We'll have probably a storm system followed by a couple, 2, maybe 3 days of high pressure and dry conditions, and then another storm system moving on through. So overall, if you like active weather, this is looking like a pretty good pattern for you. So that's all I have for you here this morning, guys. I hope everybody enjoyed it. Like I said, over the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, we'll kind of fine tune how we do things. We're just, we're kind of experimental with it and kind of trying to get things together and see how exactly we like the flow to go. So that's all I have for you this week. Everybody, thanks for logging on. Thanks for subscribing. We're excited to have you. And everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Make sure to enjoy it. Until next time, have a great week.